Good afternoon, a very warm welcome to you, wherever you are joining us. I am Amy Copeland, and this is a special LUCA Awards episode of ICB TV. I am joined today by three fabulous bookkeepers who know a thing or two about writing a good nomination, and hopefully they will inspire you to consider doing the same today. So, first up, Clare, Kendall, hello. You're joined by somebody yourself, aren't you there?
I think we've got the spotlight.
You've got the spotlight. You went very quiet there for a second. So you got a LUCA Award last year for New Practice of the Year for your business, CLK Books Limited. And where are you joining us from today?
I am from Lincolnshire, so I'm based at the north of Lincolnshire between Brigg and Caister.
This is fabulous. You'll learn why we're getting this level of detail. It's because everybody here, apart from me, is somewhere around the Lincolnshire area. Elizabeth Carter, hello.
Hello, I'm also from Lincolnshire, yes.
Also from Lincolnshire, also sporting your very own Luca Pacioli statuette. What did you win your LUCA Award for?
Student of the Year.
Fabulous. And that was also in the 2020 virtual event, wasn't it? And whereabouts in Lincolnshire are you based?
In Scunthorpe, or even more specifically in Bottisford within Scunthorpe.
Bottisford, fantastic.
The reason I say that is because my company is Bottisford Bookkeeping, so but I thought I'd mention it.
And had you set that up when you won the award?
Yes, but not only set up and not working. So set up, but no clients at that time.
I can't wait to hear more. We will find out. And last but definitely not least, we have the wonderful Lara Mountain. You're also from Lincolnshire. Whereabouts are you from?
So I'm just a mile into the Link border across from Cams down in Crowland in this holding. So I just creep in.
Just creep in, a bit Cambridge, bit of Cambridge. And you are actually surrounded by some great things behind you. So you were a finalist at the LUCA Awards last year, weren't you? And that was for Small Practice of the Year, I think. Yeah. And what else is behind you? Can you tell us?
So I was also nominated for Zero, the shortlisted for Zero Small Practice of the Year, and I've recently been shortlisted for Accounting Excellence Sole Practitioner of the Year and also Bookkeeper of the Year.
Wow. And so this is, I think it's so exciting that Accounting Excellence now has these two categories. So last year, Jay Snell won Bookkeeper of the Year, didn't she? And hopefully you can take up the Manton mantle, if I can say that. What I particularly loved, and anybody who's downloaded the LUCA Award nominations pack, is that I've actually put your quote in there without permission. And you said that it was that experience of being a finalist that actually encouraged you to apply for more awards. I'm hoping that today we can talk a little bit about why you might want to apply for an award, and then we'll talk a bit more about how. But first up, Lara, why does it make you feel more confident? Because I think some people probably think that's just going to make me feel bad about myself, perhaps, to put myself up there.
Well, I was one of those people until this time last year. I'd never entered an award ceremony in my life, never put myself forward for something, because I just ran a little bookkeeping business. It's just me. I've got 30 to 40 clients. Why should I put myself forward for everything? And I was talking to some people, and I took on a virtual assistant. She said, "Oh, you should just start putting yourself out there a little bit and sort of start. You're obviously doing a pretty decent job. Your clients like you. You're getting some good feedback. Why don't you just push out your comfort zone a little bit and put yourself forward?" And actually sort of asking my clients for testimonials and those backup letters and things like that to go along with it, sort of, okay, made me realise, okay, I am sort of doing a little, hopefully a good job. I have a lot of client retention. I have quite a few, most of my work comes from client referrals nowadays. So hopefully that sort of fed through. And then when I put that nomination in, and I was like, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get like that submission, never going to get that to that nomination stage. And I remember watching the ICB TV last year when Gary and June did the things, and like my husband was in the other room and he was like, what on earth has just gone on? And I went, I've actually got to the shortlist. And it was sort of a little bit of a validation for my business, because it's, as I said, it's just me. I've been an ICB member for 10 years. I've set up on my own. It's not, I kind of, you don't get that validation. You do when you help clients or when you're doing certain things with clients and you can see the impact you make, but it's not like where you're in an employed job where someone gives you a promotion or someone gives you a bonus or they say, oh yeah, really well done. So it was kind of that external validation that was really nice, and I thought actually maybe I am doing a pretty good job at this, and maybe my business isn't the sort of little thing I think it is, and actually maybe I should start putting myself out there a bit more.
Yeah, having a huge impact. Yeah, just a little bookkeeper. What does it mean? It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything now. What have you now applied for? I mean, I'm thinking really, do you feel almost, was it difficult initially to put that kind of load on your client and say, I want you to tell me that I'm doing a good job? Have you had to do it again now since you've been trying to get new nominations? And is there any resistance?
No, so what I did with the other ones, you have to provide supporting evidence, but not in the same way as the LUCA. So the other ones, you have sort of 250 words per category, and you have to provide some stats and some figures and sort of case studies, but not in the same way as sort of the client letters that go along with the LUCA. So I haven't had to do that, but actually I did what I decided was that if I ever entered again, I'd do a sort of smallish pool to start with, so that I wasn't asking people all the same time. And obviously in the last year I've taken on 7 new clients. That's potentially again 7 new people that I haven't asked yet. So that I wasn't asking the same people all the time. You do feel a bit awkward, and then they come back to you and they go, oh well, can't you just write it for me? And I'm like, no, that's fine. I wouldn't know what to write anyway. So I think there's you have to be a little bit careful, as you say. You don't want to be asking people every 5 minutes, can you write me a review, can you write me this, that, or the other. But equally, what I did was obviously doing the LUCA submission first, and then having the other ones that you had a set amount of sort of script to write. I sort of took bits out of my LUCA. I was able to sort of rephrase and reparagraph the bits that I'd done for the first submission into some of the other submissions, and then add on where they were looking for specific things, whether it be with Xero, they were obviously looking at how you use Xero and how you use other cloud-based softwares within your practice. So sort of tweaking what I put into my LUCA submission so that it fit with the other submissions.
Now, Elizabeth, you as Student of the Year, am I right in thinking that you actually were nominated by your training provider? So that would have been a bit of a different experience.
I was encouraged by the Lincolnshire branch to get myself nominated, and I did actually go. I was really out of my comfort zone doing it, I think, as anyone would be. But I think it was Clare that gave me the final nudge to do it, and I contacted the training link and I said, could I be perhaps nominated, and was preparing myself for the no response for some reason. It seems silly now, but I was preparing myself for the no response, and they replied saying, we'd be delighted to nominate you. So I think worth it for any students who are watching, that you might have to give your trainer a nudge to nominate you. That I don't think they would have nominated me without me suggesting it to them. So just give them a little nudge to say, am I worthy of being considered? And the worst that can happen is they say no, which is really not that bad anyway, is it? So
you've got to be able to put up with a few no's, haven't you, if you want to get anywhere. So what was it like? So obviously last year we had the virtual ceremony, which was slightly unfortunate, but you know, we muddled through it and it was still quite fun. How did it feel to actually be revealed as the winner at the LUCA Awards? And do you think it's sort of affected anything else sort of since then?
Well, it's been lovely for myself as a marketing tool. I mean, it was a lovely boost of confidence for a start. And then it's been lovely with networking with other bookkeepers, because anytime I've spoken to ICB bookkeepers, generally they've remembered my face or name from that. And then it's been nice to be able to market myself with something, because when you're new and starting out, it is quite difficult to market yourself. What do you say about yourself when you're new? Well, it's lovely to be able to say that you were awarded Student of the Year. So yeah, it's just a fact, isn't it, at that point? So
great fact. Yeah, because I think you're sort of striving for something that's quite unique, aren't you, that sort of differentiates you from everybody else. But yeah, quite often very difficult. Thank you for that, Claire. And also, you know, familiar faces, so anyone who's been to the Inspire Tour, anyone who saw, I did speak to Elizabeth online as well. You're also on one of the pages of the website. But Claire, so you won New Practice of the Year. I guess that means you were fairly new. So in order to qualify for that category, you need to have been in practice for no more than 18 months. So how, you know, had you had a massively successful year? You know, how did you decide that you'd had the right kind of success to apply for a LUCA Award?
I wasn't initially thinking, oh, I've had a brilliant year, I think this is me. So as Liz said, there was a lot of talk about awards in the branch, because we were applying for Branch of the Year, and we were doing little things like working out what we were going to do for our video and all of those things. And I think we kind of got swept along the furor and excitement of that. And then I was watching the Six-Figure Bookkeeper Bootcamp session, where they started talking about awards and how good they were for your business. And I looked at them and I kind of thought, I've only got one chance to go for New Practice, but you know, the next year my practice would have been too old. And I was kind of like, well, I've only been in practice 9 months, is it too young? But I kind of sat there and went through all the criteria that it said on the website and just made a few notes. And that was really good for me, because I started to think, oh, actually, I've done this and I've done that. And you kind of start to see where you've got to, rather than just your kind of personal, slightly negative view of like, oh, well, I don't have enough clients, or I don't have enough earnings, or I don't have this. And it was just being able to look at it and say, actually, I may have only been here for 9 months, but in those 9 months, I've managed to do that. And it's quite good. And then obviously I suggested to someone in the branch, do you think I should go for New Practice? And like the whole branch are like, yes, you should. And that was it. That sealed the deal. We were just all in it for as many LUCAs to Lincolnshire as we could get.
I love that. Yeah, everyone knows, I think, how good the Lincolnshire branch is, but certainly that's where I think we can really support each other, is in those branch meetings, and also the Six-Figure Bookkeeping Club. So actually, if you are feeling like maybe you're not quite confident enough to do it, reach out to the sisterhood, the bookkeeperhood, and you will find the support that you need, because you can get one of these awards this year. Claire, is it something that you mentioned to clients? Were any of your clients particularly interested in your success?
I've used it on all of my marketing. It's on my email footer. I'd be surprised if my clients didn't know it, but I don't kind of go out there and go, oh, did you know I won an award? But I went all over social media with it. It's on all my marketing. I managed to get a piece in the local paper, which was quite nice, because then a few of the people that live close by and people that knew my husband were saying to him, oh, I saw your wife in the paper, she's won an award. So, and I think that's the main of it, really, especially as a new practice, to get that marketing possibility. That was the dream. That was what pushed me to do that in the first place.
It's just good to have a good story, isn't it? In talking of stories, I wonder if, Lara, you could just take us a little bit back. I want to find out more about Lara and your practice. Were you always in the sort of in a kind of similar role? What was it that, I know that you've been a member now for 10 years, but what was it that kind of brought you into the world of bookkeeping?
So I was doing some bookkeeping in a practice management role for a health clinic, actually, and I got to know the accountant really well. And then I relocated 100 miles up here when I met my husband, and thought, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm in a completely different place, don't know anyone. At that point, I didn't drive, so it was like, well, relying on buses wasn't the greatest thing, and public transport. And I thought, actually, I've always been a numbers person. I've always been a stats person. I was a cricket scorer, I'm into golf, and some of that also relates back to bookkeeping. So I spoke to the accountant, and I said, look, I'm thinking of doing my ICB qualifications, and he said, yeah, go for it. I think you'd really enjoy it. So did that, set up for did all my exams to the what was then the AICB level, what's now the MICB level, and set up. And he sort of said, well, the first I'll send some clients your way, and then I sort of started just literally walking around my little town with flyers, and started up with some of those clients of all the little businesses. But it's only really been the last sort of 2 to 3 years that my business has taken off. And part of that is because I have ME. So when I started, I wasn't at a position to be able to work full time. So I was able to progress the business as my health improved, so that I got to a level where actually I could fit. I wasn't feeling stressful. I wasn't causing flare-ups because I was doing too much in it. And then as my health has progressed over the last sort of 10 years, I've obviously been able to progress to a level where I can run a full practice and a full business. Wow,
that's incredible. To do it despite those challenges. I'm so pleased to hear that it's getting better. That's good. And so how much time do you spend then on the business? Are you a sort of full-time in the business?
Yeah, so I am, as I say, I took on a virtual assistant last year to help with some of the admin side of things, so chasing copy invoices or chasing people for paperwork and those sort of things. Because I quite, people have said to me, oh, you could hire someone and you could go to the next level, and I'm not quite there yet. And I really enjoy being very close with my clients. But that sort of enables me to free up some time. And also this year, I've had a lot of people looking more at their processes and how they do things. So I've done quite a lot of process reviews with potential new clients on systems and making business efficient, which is again another slightly different thing, but it still includes that bookkeeping element. You need to know how they're doing it and how you do it to be able to sort of suggest improvements.
That's fabulous. And is that processes that are directly linked to the accounting function?
Yeah.
Wow. And presumably that just makes their life easier, but then also your life easier too.
Yes, exactly. So my business tagline is accuracy, continuity, and efficiency. So that's part of what I kind of try to give all my clients.
What great things to strive for.
Yeah.
I probably go on about it a lot, but I'm always thinking I need to be more bookkeeper. I think it's like a meme that's like going to come out soon. I need to be more bookkeeper, more consistent, more efficient. Wow, that's brilliant. And can you tell us a little bit about what sort of clients you've got? Are they all in a similar sort of sector?
No, I know that some people do niche, but I have everything from international video crew to my local takeaway pizza place. So a real range of clients, range of turnovers, most of them are, the one thing I would say is they're family run businesses. So they tend to be either husband and wife or sort of brothers or whatever else. And we have a sort of, so that's the similarity, is where they're sort of smaller, well, I say smaller, the top one has a £10 million turnover, but smaller businesses that I can actually really feel like I can make an impact at. So it's being able to add that value or work closely with them rather than them perhaps being sort of bigger corporations.
And having your background and having these sort of special skills in sort of process management, does that enable you to work very, very smart? and take time off when you need it, and obviously get the rest that you need, and make sure you're not negatively impacting your health?
Yes, but I'm very bad at that. If you ask my husband, he'd say I'm very bad at that. But I do use Dex, and I was actually one of their July Global Challenge runners up as well in their little.
Oh, Dex is obviously what Receipt Bank is now. Dex.
Yeah,
Are you using things like Dex Precision?
Yes, they're using Dex Precision, obviously Zero Silver Partner. So I actually adopted Zero quite early because a client came to me and was part of a franchise and was asked to use Zero. So I kind of used Zero when it first came into the market. So that's probably, and I've been using Receipt Bank Dex for sort of 5 years now. So that's the only way I could work, because I need to automate as much as possible and be as efficient as possible to actually be able to deliver that service to my clients with my restrictions and being on my own as well.
Wow, it's all possible, I think, when you're passionate and you know that you're having that impact, and obviously to work with businesses that are also very close to the business. I imagine it's very positive. I say this as somebody who feels like I have not been working very smart this week and not really getting enough sleep, and also probably trying to do it around kids. Elizabeth, how's your work-life balance? Because I was so impressed by your kind of story of, you actually did all the exams, didn't you? Every single exam, costing and budgeting, all of the level 4 during lockdown, effectively, with your 3 kids. How's the work-life balance, Elizabeth?
Well, I think it's forced to be quite good, because my 2-year-old, nearly 3-year-old, would not let me work when she's around nowadays. So I very much work in her preschool hours, which is great. This is perfect for me. During the summer holidays, that was more of a struggle. So I was doing quite a lot of evening work, but as she gets older, that will be less of a problem, I think. So we'll see what next summer is like. Probably a bit easier than this summer. But it's been going. It's nice. I like it. I like the freedom to choose my hours.
So last year, when you got your award as Student of the Year, you were just in the process of setting up your business. Has it taken off the way you wanted it to? Obviously, it's a sort of strange time. I
think so. I was just hopeful that I could get some clients, and I have managed to get some clients. So in fact, one of the things that I really knew I wouldn't like is marketing. I knew that I would hate that aspect of running a business. But for me, I really haven't had to market myself much at all, because I really recommend this when you're doing the qualifications. If you do the level 4s as well, what I found is bookkeepers have passed on work to me because they can't offer those services. So clients or bookkeepers who've got better marketing than me are finding clients unable to provide them the services, and they are passing them on to me, which is lovely. So there's that. The extra qualifications have been a real boost for finding clients. But the second thing that has been a boost for finding clients is the networking with other bookkeepers. So that's the other step. So the two together have enabled me to get clients. The vast majority of my clients have come through other bookkeepers.
Wow. And is that mostly through your Lincolnshire branch?
Yeah, every single client I have is a Lincolnshire-based client. So,
oh my gosh, what about, I know that we're here to talk about the LUCA Awards, but also that is just such a great endorsement of the branch network. And we did do a survey, and it said that it is the best place to go if you're looking to meet bookkeepers who've got too many clients, more so than the Bookkeepers Summit, because I think people go for all sorts of reasons, because the content is so great, of course. But the branch network, people go there for the express purpose of handing over clients. And did they just hand them over? They're not subcontracting to you, or is it a bit of both?
No. I've had contacts saying, I think the first one I had, somebody said, can anyone offer a limited company the year-end accounts services, and I was able to say yes. And then I suppose that bookkeeper and I built up a little network. So she's offered me another client who is a limited company to do that. So she does the bookkeeping, and then I've been able to do the year-end accounts. So I've got one bookkeeper who does that, and then Claire has offered me some clients as well who they've got in touch with her, and she's not been able to offer them all the services or not had the time to do the cleanup work that's required. So she's recommended me and just given me the details, and we've got in touch through that. So it's been great for me. It's been a perfect partnership because I don't like marketing and I've not really had to do it.
I wonder, it's interesting that you say that, and I think that's quite important. Actually, you don't have to be all things to all people, and you can just do you, as people so love to say. But Claire, what if somebody's sitting watching this and thinking, that's all very well and good, but I still don't think I should apply for a LUCA, I may not win, or I don't want to expose myself like that. Have you got any kind of advice that you might give them?
I think the really important thing is stop comparing yourself to what you think everybody else is and what everybody else is doing, because if you want to compare yourself to where you were a year ago. Write those things down, because it just feels, I think it's really easy, especially as bookkeepers, we tend to like to be behind the scenes, don't we? Not in front of the camera, not putting yourself out there. And it's a bit too easy to hide and say, oh, well, I haven't done well enough, or that person's better than me. And I think it's really good for you to sit and write that down. Like even say, where have I come this year? And, write down, I've got this many new clients, I've done this is what worked for me on marketing. And I think, I think just believe. And if you don't believe, write something down that says an affirmation or something and read it every day until you do believe.
I do deserve a LUCA Award. Yeah, is it, let's throw this over to Lara, because I think at this point you're almost like an expert in writing a nomination. Could it almost become a sort of, almost like a form of like journaling or like gratitude practice, to actually just sort of sit down and take stock of what you've achieved and go through it? Do you think, are people likely to be sort of have a positive outcome to it?
I think so. I think even if you don't, as Claire said, even if you don't end up being sort of nominated at the end of the day, actually just taking time to look at how far you've come, because I think we are also caught up in our own businesses and our clients' businesses that actually we don't tend to recognise how far we've come, or those progressions, until we actually sit down and note them down. So it does become, as you say, that sort of, that journaling, that gratitude. Okay, where was I a year ago? Where was I a couple of years ago, or even 6 months ago? What new software have I implemented? How have I helped clients in a new way? How many new clients have I got? Because it was only when I actually did the accounting excellence one that they asked for sort of some stats around how your business has grown. And I sat down and actually looked at how much my turnover has grown. And part of that was because I started using those proposals, but also looking around at those sort of, how many new clients have I taken on, and how much has my turnover grown, and where was my business compared to this time last year. And although we tend to look at it as bookkeepers, we look at it from a financial aspect, also it's good to sort of look at it from a personal growth aspect of how much more comfortable am I in my business, or how much more comfortable am I going to new client meetings, or how has what I offer my clients changed slightly, or has my role changed more to that sort of business advisor role from that data entry role? All those sort of things that you don't perhaps recognise that are happening within your business until you actually sit down and note them down.
I wonder if we can write that down and put that in a checklist. That was really interesting. And I think that really is the sort of thing that judges are looking for. We know that bookkeepers run, there's a full spectrum of bookkeeping practices out there. And obviously what the ex-Lincolnshire branch chair, Lucy Brown, said at the Bookkeeper Summit last year was, you know, you've got to base your own personal success on yourself. And you know, it's not all about having the biggest practice or the most number of clients. That personal journey, I think, is absolutely as important, if not more important. Has it been particularly challenging to keep a sort of positive outlook, do you think, Lara, or is it something that you've got that comes to you naturally?
I'm quite a positive person, so I'm quite hard on myself, but I'm quite positive, so I probably take the losses more than the. So sometimes it can be hard if you lose a client and it's perhaps not your fault or something happens. You can take those losses quite personally. But equally, I think I get a lot of joy out of seeing how I can improve and help clients. So I think you always have to take those positives, because at the end of the day, although it is our lives, it is still a business, and people are always going to make decisions that are right for them, and they don't always see you as a person in that respect when they're making their business decisions. And as Claire said, we can be sort of a bit hidden away in the background a bit more. So it's hard to put yourself out there and sometimes it is hard to be positive, but there are great Facebook groups, there are great support groups out there, and obviously again the branches and everything that you at the ICB do as well, to sort of help us realise that we do have a lot of potential and there is a lot to be positive about, and it can be daunting, and there are a lot of things coming up obviously on the horizon with HMRC changes as well, but I think you have to keep positive and you have to keep striving, because that's the only way you're going to grow. Otherwise you're just going to end up sort of stuck in a little bit of a hole, and perhaps so you need to sort of keep putting yourself out there, and keep being positive about what you can do and what you can offer your clients.
Is it scary? Was it scary for you to write your first nomination?
Yeah, it wasn't. I think the scariest thing is we're all not very good at bigging ourselves up usually. I'm not very good at sort of writing down and writing it. There's a difference between writing those points and obviously trying to put yourself forward. I hate sales, I hate marketing, I get nervous at every new client meeting I go to. It takes me about 3 times with clients before I feel comfortable. So to actually do that self-promotion can be quite difficult. And what I actually sent it to my mum's partner and one of my mum's best friends, just to sort of read it over before I submitted it. They both have been in business, and one of them, my mum's partner, was a sales manager for a car depot. So actually I asked him to sort of read it through from a bit more of a sort of selling me point of view almost. But I think that's the other thing, is that you probably do know people around you that would help you sort of that might be able to sit down and take the time to help you write these nominations and help you realise what you're achieving. So as I say, it is self-promotion, and it's not something we're always very good at.
Who is your helper, Claire? Is it your husband that you mentioned, or have you got somebody else? Does anybody else kind of give you some free mentoring?
It's not my husband. No, to be fair, Tim, he is really good at the positivity thing, and he believed in me that I could do this business a long time before I did, and that side of it's really good. But I think it's been things like I say, watching the webinars that Zoe Whitman and Joe would do, and talking to the people in the branch. And I think when you get people that you can see have achieved stuff, and you notionally think, oh well, they're good, and they say, well, I think you can do it, and that's kind of the one piece you need, don't you? And I'm just like, okay, well, I'll go away and try it then. So, and I think every time you do that as well, it doesn't feel comfortable to sit and write a nomination and try and put yourself forward, but actually when you finished it, there's some good for you personally out of it. Like Lara said, it doesn't matter if you don't get nominated. It's good for you as a person to have seen what you've done.
And did you, in your process of writing the nomination, was there anything that you actually identified that perhaps there were gaps, or something that you might do better? Was it sort of an opportunity to kind of, improve?
I felt when I looked at it and when I started to write things down, I actually felt that I'd done a lot more than I thought before I started writing it, if that makes sense. So I was looking looking at the criteria on the website, and I just kind of made some headers from there, and I was kind of like, oh, well, marketing, what have I done for marketing? And then as I start to think about it, I was kind of like, oh yeah, oh, I've done that, oh, and this works quite well. And I think I surprised myself with it, really. And then I think the gaps, if you like, came when I kind of went, well, I've got this far and I didn't really have a plan, and I still haven't really got a plan. And that for me was the thing, like, well, actually, I need to be a bit more focused and say, well, where do I want to be in the future? So, because I've just gone 5 days a week, which isn't actually full time, but my youngest has just started reception. So that this September was always the focus for when it really started for me. And I feel like up until then, I was just kind of like trotting along part-time, like so yeah, it did highlight to me, actually, you need a bit of a plan for things for the future.
I'm sort of weird. I'm getting sort of like tingles when you say that, because I've had so many conversations in September picking up the phone, and people have said the same thing. My youngest is in school, and this is finally my moment. And also, yeah, and this Manisha, who we hired at ICB, said the sort of same thing. I think she's got she's got twins, and she was like, actually, I'm ready to focus on me and my career. And it just really, also it resonates because my youngest just started reception this week as well, and all the sort of confused sleep patterns that arise out of that, and trying to find socks and etc. So yeah, a challenging time, but hopefully we'll all have found our feet, at least in my family, hopefully next week. Elizabeth, do you think that have you always approached your business with a set plan, and can you share with us what it is if you've got one? Is there a trajectory?
My plan was that I wanted to be able to, this September, I wanted to be able to be working 4 days a week. And then in 2 years' time, when my youngest starts school, I wanted to be full time. So that was my trajectory. It's quite basic, but that's it.
That's it. And so how many clients, is it the same for everybody? Do you need a sort of set number of clients, or is it the size of the client's business in order to get full time? Or is it just how many transactions they have?
I'm not completely sure. I think it depends very much on the size of the clients and what the client wants from you. So for instance, if they only want a tax return, a self-assessment tax return in, that's a very brief section of work that you're doing for them. But then the year-end returns for limited companies, it's quite a lot of work, but only for a brief part for a month or so. So it's really strange depending on the client. It's the regular bookkeeping, I think, that fills the time on a daily basis.
And Lara, you mentioned Go Proposal. Is that sort of helping you become a bit more sort of, I don't know, plan out and make sure there's no scope creep, and just really kind of see the impact of how much work you're going to do for a client before you end up too deep?
Yeah, I think that's the thing you were saying about having an affirmation. My thing this year was about having value and worth, and finding my own value and worth. And I think that LUCA sort of set that off to sort of give me an idea of, actually, I do have this going. So that was the Go Proposal was the next step, because I was pretty much aware I was undercharging everybody. And obviously when I started 10 years ago, hourly pricing was gold standard, and now obviously the world's changed. And because I just do bookkeeping, I don't do payroll, and I'm not at level 4 yet. I do a lot with my clients, and I do a lot of sort of other bits around bookkeeping, and a lot of sort of financial admin, and a bit more sort of in-house stuff for them. So actually they were getting almost a sort of part-time member of staff for the cost of a bookkeeper that came in once a month or once a week, and that's not the way I work. So Go Proposal helps me sort of identify my worth in terms of financially, but equally, as you say, the planning out, and especially when you've got new clients that perhaps are coming to you, or prospects that are perhaps coming to you, and to actually sit down and go, okay, they want you to do this, they want you to help with invoicing, they want you to sort of help with all these other aspects. it sort of did help me plan out my workload and actually make me realise how much I do for clients as well, because it's easy enough when they drop you an email or they drop you a WhatsApp or whatever it is, or if you're on site and they ask you to do something, you don't always realise how much you're actually doing to clients, because I've found, well, I'm very bad at saying no, and you want to help them, and if it's something within your remit or something that you can see how you can help them, then you tend to take that on without potentially charging for them. So at least now with Go Proposal, I've got that sort of a bit more of a structured pricing, and a bit more of kind of, this is what I'm going to do for you. And I took on a new client this year who kind of said to me, and he said, well, actually, you're more expensive than I'm paying at the moment, but I can see that you're going to be doing a lot more than I was paying for. And that actually, when we took it over and we said, oh, and I highlighted all these things, and he went, well, now I can see why I'm paying for you, because like his accountant hadn't picked up various things and VAT returns and things. I went into clients a couple of months ago and realised that they've been overcharging on VAT, on rentals. And it was like, well, actually, it was £3,500 which I back to them on their next VAT return. And he sort of turned around to me and went, well, you've just paid for yourself and more if you don't want to be. So that was quite nice to actually, I think it gave me a boost of confidence about my, again, with the same as the LUCA giving me the boost of confidence. Well, actually, I can charge that, because I was terrified when I sent the first proposal. I can charge that, they will accept that, and actually, again, I am providing that value to them. So why should I be undercharging on my, like, I knew I was undercharging, but I was just too scared to go to my clients, and I haven't had a single one that has actually said no to the price increase yet.
That's very exciting. Are you at all, how much have you been sort of paying attention to the next wave of making tax digital? Is that going to kind of add further challenges, or might you kind of outsource that to Elizabeth?
Okay, I think at this stage I could be outsourcing it. As I say, I don't do self-assessment returns and I don't do year end, so I'm keeping in line with the bits that I want to do, but equally I have got a network of accountants around me, and I do know other ICB members and other bookkeepers that I will sort of outsource to, because I feel that I love what I do and I love how I help clients, and actually having someone else that comes in and does that tax bit, that sort of reviews it, has a look, maybe thinks of things, maybe sometimes I can almost be a little bit too close to the client, which so they can come in and think a little bit outside the box or see things that I might have missed from a different perspective, to actually then be able to help with that. And I think I quite enjoy being able to sort of say, okay, the accounts are done up to trial balance. Someone can come to me and ask all those questions that you, and obviously I've tried all those questions and be that sort of link. But actually, when it comes to the tax thing, right, okay, off you go. I'll hand it over. You can go sort and file it.
Yeah, that makes a great deal of sense. Do you, which element of the work do you do, Claire?
So I do self-assessment. I'm qualified for that. I've got a few self-assessment clients, and a few of them are going to be problematic for MTV for ITSA. So I've already started, I've put out kind of a little blog with a bit of a presentation on a video, which I've sent to the clients, and kind of just given them a bit of a heads up to be, here's what's coming, this is what it's going to mean to you. And so I think they won't, some of them won't do this until probably, when do we have to do the first submission? August 23. So yeah, some of them are going to be in July 23 saying to me like, oh, I know you told me about that, but I really need to do something now. So I just keep thinking, I'm just kind of, I don't know, poking the bear at the moment, going, do you know, this is coming, it will affect you. Yes, pay attention.
Poking the bear. Elizabeth, is it something that's going to affect people that are doing the kind of annual job a bit more, now having to do a sort of quarterly mini P&L?
Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We've got time. The pilot isn't until next year, is it? So we've got time. Right. So our chaps watching at home or their office or wherever they are, if they want to start mapping out their application for a LUCA Award, I suppose what we could do is just go through the categories. I was going to say proudly, we've got a new online system because we wanted to have greater transparency and we wanted to enable the judges to see the applications directly and then be able to collaborate on their thoughts, which has worked really well in the past, but it's been a little bit of a manual system. And of course, we all like to increase automation and efficiency. So you can go online and pick your category. However, you can also nominate yourself for multiple categories. So there's Student of the Year, Apprentice of the Year, New Practice, Small Practice, Large Practice, and the criteria there is written in the criteria. But a new practice is within the first 18 months, and a small practice is 4 people working there, including the practice owner. Now, you can include long-term subcontractors in that if you want to, and again, there's a little bit more detail about that. And then the large practice is 5 and above. And yeah, I would say looking forward to Sylvia Borhill, who's a past large practice of the year winner, bringing her whole team to the LUCA Awards this year. And we also have social media influencer of the year as well, and team of the year or employed bookkeeper of the year. So you could nominate your employee or your team of bookkeepers, or if you're the employee, you can nominate yourself. And then likewise, we have employer of the year. So what we're finding at ICB is that the sizes of the practices is slowly growing. And about a third of the businesses now are incorporated and or have premises and employ either a subcontractor or staff full time. Do any of you have a team behind you? You've got a VA, obviously, Lara. So not yet.
No, not yet. Just my VA who does. She works primarily with bookkeepers. So she knows a bit about what goes on, and she also works with the fixing of bookkeepers stuff. So she's fully booked, and she's doing her AAT at the moment. So we need to get her across to ICB. But
we should get her across. Yeah, interestingly enough, we have been talking about a special course for VAs who do some bookkeeping or want to become a bookkeeper, because we have quite a few members who have kind of done that crossover. And I think it's one of those things where the client is just saying, well, do you know what, you're good at this, please can you do this? And obviously, as we all know, the bookkeeping, it's got to get done, hasn't it? So that would be a good idea. Yes, you can move across. Obviously, if you know anyone who's doing AAT, they can move across. And we do have a bridging paper, especially for AAT grads. So if you do level 2 and 3 AAT, it's not quite equivalent to ICB's level 2 and 3 because we cover a bit more year-end stuff for limited companies and those sort of smaller charities and clubs. So we sort of require those AAT grads to do a little bit more study and take the bridging paper just to make sure they're up to the standard as a certified bookkeeper, but certainly worth doing. And then, yeah, great. So VAs. I once spoke at the VA conference, and yeah, they're a very, very similar bunch of highly ambitious people as bookkeepers, I would say. And so you've got until the 1st of October to send in your application for a nomination. You can start your application now, and I can tell you we've already had 40. So I think that's pretty good. And the most popular so far, I don't even know if I should say that, because I don't want to put anyone off, but yeah, small practice of the year does tend to be a little bit more popular than large practice of the year, which means there's a real opening there. If you do have a sizable practice and you're working with a team of 5 or more, please do consider winning it. You can do it. You don't have to be large in terms of, your massive turnover or your millions of clients. Just what you think is successful is what we're interested in. And also we've got actually quite a few submissions for employed bookkeeper and team of the year and student of the year as well. But so employer of the year, definitely we want to hear from you because you are doing great work. And I've said it at summits past, I think our bookkeepers do tend to be very progressive employers, because I think a lot of you are in this because you need to have a flexible situation for whatever reason, and you pass that on to your employees as well, which is always such a great story. So Lara, I think you have actually applied for a LUCA Award this year. Am I right?
Yes, I haven't submitted everything, but with everything that a couple of changes, and okay, implementing those proposals. And a couple of things that were prompted by being nominated last year, I am trying to see whether I can go one better this year.
How was the online system? Was it all fairly straightforward?
Yeah, I think I found it easier because with last year, obviously, we were emailing things in and sort of things come to you, especially if you're asking clients for testimonials, they come to you at different times. And obviously, there's always a little bit of concern when you click send and you don't know whether it's gone or not or whatever else. So having that all on there, and I also like the fact that there was you can submit other things such as videos and slideshows and other little bits, which I think was quite a nice touch to add some, because you end up writing a little bit of an essay. You try not to make it an essay, but you end up writing, it's all sort of written. So having that sort of being able to submit some other documentation or other forms of things alongside it, I thought was quite a good idea. I think, yeah.
And at any point, yeah. And as you can imagine, it was an administrative nightmare, I think, for the team at ICB, sort of trying to field all these applications and just being terrified that we might have missed some important part of someone's nomination. But in the past, I remember certainly shedding a tear watching Michelle Smith's nomination video for Employer of the Year, which she went on to win. And so we have had videos in the past. You can submit things like client testimonials. It's just a recommendation. You don't have to do it. And you're not being judged on the sort of snazziness of your nomination. It's really, if you're submitting it genuinely and you're really giving us reasons that you are proud of yourself, then that will give us reasons to be proud of you as well. So don't worry too much if you don't have, like me, an editor in the house at my beck and call all the time.
I'll comment here that mine had no snaz at all. No, it was just text, no pictures, nothing. It was just me talking via a Word document. That was it. So yes, you can definitely win without snaz.
You can win with zero snaz. Do you have any kind of insight into why you think you won it in the end?
I think I did do a lot of modules in the time, especially as I was juggling children as well in COVID. I think that was what did it for me, because I didn't get distinctions in every exam, and I definitely, I could have done it even quicker had I been able to put, if I hadn't had any children or work, to do. So it's not just the most distinctions in the time period or anything like that. There's definitely, they take into account what's going on around you, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot to do with attitude, really, isn't it? And I say this probably based on the kids' reports. It's all about attitude, isn't it? And having that mindset that kind of fares you well. You don't have to necessarily have recovered from something dreadful or, be like Lara facing, personal challenges. It's really just about having that attitude that has kind of seen you through and that we think is something that is inspiring. Claire, did you submit any sort of, I don't know, like a projection, a finance projection or a video, photos?
I did actually put a video in, and I don't know what possessed me. I felt a bit like when I wrote it's coming back to that thing that it's not very comfortable to big yourself up, is it? So I was writing the application and I felt like I was coming across as, oh my God, look at me, I'm so wonderful. So then I actually just put a video in the introduction, which was just me talking and explaining, not like, I don't think I'm all that. And I was just kind of like saying, I'm really uncomfortable with doing this actually, but this is why I want to apply. And I just wanted the panel to see who I really was, which I think comes across a bit better on video when you're speaking and you're a real person, don't you? So I thought I'm saying this bit because I want to understand that actually I'm way out of my comfort zone here. I hate doing this application. I hate doing the video more, but I'd really, really like to be nominated for the LUCA, and that's why I'm putting this in. And it's a very, very short video. And then actually one of my clients, because I I'd emailed a few clients to see if anybody would be willing to write me a supporting letter when I was applying. One of my clients just messaged me back and said, can I do a video instead? Because he's quite young, he's obviously more comfortable. I'm like, yeah, that would be brilliant. So he filmed a little video for me just talking about me doing books, which was amazing, because I was thinking I would have never dared ask a client to do a video for me, but they would have preferred to.
Oh, that's a great idea. And you put that in, was that part of the nomination? Sorry.
Yeah, so I put the videos onto my website and then just put the links into the letter, so you could like click straight through from the letter to the videos.
That's a fab idea, because you know you're numbers people, you've got your own special skill set. You don't necessarily have to spend ages writing the essay and fixing it and tweaking the formatting. If you feel more comfortable, just record yourself. It could also just be audio. You could do that on your phone, you could do a video on your phone. Just make sure your whole face is in shot, and like me, you didn't have the bin men coming around making loads of noise. Somebody has asked the question, if I'm going to apply for Student of the Year, should I ask my training provider to nominate me or just do it myself and let them know? I think it's worthwhile definitely calling them up, because they will add a little bit more sort of fuel to the fire, and they might even give you some, remind you about some things that you did well in the call. But what you can do, you can always start doing your application and then ask them to provide something and then just upload that as well. So there's sort of an unlimited amount of uploads you can add, but you just have, it's up to 5 meg per upload. So I would say whatever you feel best, but definitely get them involved, because they just love hearing from their students, and they're in the business of your success as much as we are. And they'll love to hear from you. I actually saw Training Link yesterday, Elizabeth, and promised that I would give them more information about when their students become members, because interestingly, they don't always hear back from their students to say they've fully graduated. Send them an email, just confirm for them. But yeah, absolutely, those training providers, certainly you could get in touch with them, even if you're trying to apply for a different award. Get in touch with them and get a nice little testimonial from them about your great work ethic and your determination. And I hope that's been useful. If there's, I know that we haven't been massively, I haven't given you a demo of the application site, but obviously if anyone's got any issues with that when they're trying to do their application, I would definitely recommend you contact us at ICB. Speak to, probably Alex is very good with that at the moment, who's online with us now actually in the background. So Alex has had that fun setting that up for you. But don't overthink it, guys. I think what we've learned here is from Lara, Elizabeth and Claire, I think you've really shown us that this can be a really beneficial experience, even if you don't win. And you can also use it to springboard your marketing campaign or your next LUCA nomination, or even just your next process for business success. And it always is a good idea, I think, to take stock of what you've achieved and just sit back and really consider it. And then obviously that helps you get it even better next time. So certainly in the journey of you and your practice and your career, I think it's a very valuable thing to do. And I would just remind you that, of course, this year you will get a shiny silver LUCA if you win, but even just being nominated means there's a little certificate and a digital certificate at the moment, and a digital badge that you can put on your website and on any marketing. And you will get a free ticket to the LUCA Awards taking place at the Londoner Hotel in Leicester Square, which is pretty fancy and lovely. And we all need a good party, don't we? So thank you ever so much, Lara and Claire and Elizabeth. Can you all just say goodbye so we can see you one last time?
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It's been fabulous. I would carry on talking all afternoon if we didn't all have to go, and it's already past 3. So very good luck to you. If anybody wants some support starting their application, give me a call. I'll probably be in a Zoom meeting, but I will call you back. So good luck, everybody, and I hope to see you at the LUCA Awards. Take care.